This afternoon at 4:30, after a music festival in Houston turned deadly over the weekend, questions remain on how the event became so dangerous. 8 people were killed when a crowd of almost 50,000 people pushed forward after rapper Travis Scott took the stage. Now hundreds more were hurt, many still in the hospital. The concert continued for almost 40 minutes after officials declared a mass casualty event. Authorities say they were really overwhelmed during the concert right there. Joining us this afternoon with more about this is Channel 3 Law Enforcement Analyst Lt. J. Paul Vance. Thank you so much. So happy to see you again.
Good to see you, sir.
Well, I'm sorry it's talking about this. This particular concert seemed to go in the wrong direction, perhaps, right from early in the day when some fans broke through the gates and kind of rushed their way in. And then we saw what happened later on. What kind of planning or preparation goes into something like this?
You know, Mark, it's interesting. A massive planning. It's actually an investigation that goes into something like this, trying to determine the type of event, the type of crowd, the size of the crowd, working with the event organizer, but more importantly, checking prior venues where this individual or any individual has conducted a performance to see what issues arose in those events in an effort to try and prevent something like this. Now, certainly rushing in towards the stage brings up a whole nother type of fact that you want to be aware of if you're an attendee to a mass event like this one was.
Well, it's interesting. You talk about prevention. It's, I guess, in a situation like this, it just happened so quickly. And then I'm assuming there was a lot of confusion. That's what we're hearing from eyewitnesses who were there for a time. They didn't even know what was going on. You just find yourself getting pushed in a huge crowd.
Yeah, well, certainly when you go to any large event like this, whether it's an indoor sporting event or an outdoor concert event like this, you want to do first and foremost one major thing, and that's determine how many exits there are and the closest one to you. That is so important because it could save your life or prevent you from getting trampled or hurt. But there are other things, you know, once you determine that, you want to make sure that the crowd stays in control. And a person, you can tell that. You can determine that. You can feel that when you're in a large event. And if it's not in control, the safest thing to do is get yourself out. All right, don't put yourself up against a solid barrier because that's dangerous. That's where a crushing will take place. A stampede could take place, where something bottlenecks. That's a problem area. And pay attention to direction. When security guards or law enforcement or people in the event give you direction to move left, right, center, or exit, pay attention and keep yourself safe.
It's interesting because obviously this was, you know, not in Connecticut where this happened. This particular event had tens of thousands of people, but for folks even here, maybe at a smaller venue, these are important things to keep in mind because you just never know what can happen. Obviously, when there's a panic happening, people don't know why, but they're just responding to the chaos.
Pay attention, but you're absolutely correct. Pay attention to your surroundings at all times. Yes, you want to enjoy the event you're attending, but you've got to be aware of your surroundings. And if a parent's taking a child, there are many additional things to do to make sure that child stays safe and stays with you. But being aware of your surroundings, understanding that law enforcement does massive preparation for things like this and do everything they can to work with fire, EMS, ambulance services, security personnel that are at a venue to try and make it safe. But it's a two-way street. Law enforcement can do so much. The public has to do some too.
Yeah, that's for sure. Retired Lt. J. Paul Vance, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Good to see you.
You too, sir. My pleasure.
We'll see.